Hey, good morning everyone. Welcome back to Outpost Review. I stopped by the hardware store yesterday and I actually exchanged this 3-foot by 4-foot window because it was actually made differently. Not that it didn't have panes, but the outside, the frame was made different. He said that that was one of their older models. Anyway, so I exchanged that, and then I got the last two windows that actually go in the back beside the fireplace, and we got the other windows taken out and swapped the other day. So praise the Lord, all my windows have panes. They did take them back even though I had them installed, so that was great. But yes, they all have panes now, so they all match, thank goodness. You know, it's the oddest thing because I didn't even notice it. Like I said before, I pulled them all from the same stack. I was just basically looking on the side right here to make sure I had my right size. Pulled them out, put them in the cart, took off with them. And I guess just taking the plastic off and putting it up there, being excited about putting the windows in, didn't even notice that a couple of them didn't have panes in them. So, but now they all do. And so I'm excited to get these last three in there and get the battens on the back side of the cabin done. I did have somebody ask me that the review channel, or they didn't ask me, they mentioned that the review channel was different than the Outpost channel, that it didn't kind of match. And that's true, because those of you that are watching the review channel have been trying to kind of give you a sneak preview of what's coming up in the future. So those of you that do tune in and watch this, you'll probably see stuff that's being done a little bit in the future. And then of course when the Outpost channel, those come out, you will actually see the work being done. I also had to get another can of this Australian timber oil because I had probably enough left to do a few battens, and that was it. So we've done a whole lot of square footage with the siding. You can tell it's starting to rain. And the battens put together. So I'm probably going to have to pack up the camera and meet you inside. Well, real quick, I went out and I got the remainder of the 2x4s that I had milled up. Some of them are a little bit crooked, but what I will do is on my short walls, I will cut those up and basically cut the curves out of them and be able to use those up there. And then the ones that are straighter, I'll use those for studs like this. But this is the bathroom wall, and it does have a 3/0 door. And this is framed out here for a little short wall that's going to come out, where I'll actually have, since this is my back door, I'll have a place with a couple of shelves for shoes down there and a place to hang jackets and so forth. This bathroom is actually 6 by 12. It gives me enough room to put a bathtub in the end. I don't know exactly where I will put the compost toilet, somewhere maybe over in here, and a sink and plenty of room for some shelves and so forth, you know. And it will have a false ceiling up here, nothing major. So I may go ahead and put another top plate on this right there. This side over here is going to get hangers, and this side they'll just sit on there, and then of course I'll take a 1x7 and attach to the ends of them just to make it look like one of the beams. But yeah, it's just basically a false, this is the only room that's going to get a ceiling, but it'll basically kind of be like a false ceiling. Anyway, so yeah, it's coming along. I've got the 2 bedroom walls framed. Got this one wall framed right here. So my intentions are today is to frame the wall that goes across this way, because I'm going to build basically a pantry type cabinet area that'll be 34 inches in depth. It'll go all the way across. That will allow me to put a washer, dryer, refrigerator, and then a bunch of shelving, and then the back side of the wall, right in this area right here, I will put a desk and a chair for editing videos and things like that. So the only other thing that I have left to frame out is the closet in the 2 bedrooms there, and then the inside is done because basically the rest of it's open. And I'm trying to concentrate all the plumbing down here, since the washer, dryer, and refrigerator will be right there. So once I get the plumbing, because it'll all be situated on the same wall basically, I can just run out to my drain and that'll be it. And so the hot water heater will also go in there, which will be a propane hot water heater. And I will have a pump that will pump from my rain catchment system into the hot water heater to supply inside. But anyway, these 2x4s got dried out. Most of them did. Some of them are still a little bit wet, but with them freestanding like this, they'll be able to dry out really well. So that's what I've got in mind to do today, because it's supposed to actually rain pretty much up until sunset tonight. So, but then we've got a couple of days of nice weather, so I'll be able to get back outside and jump back up on this, well, actually this side, putting the battens on. I got that window over here in the kitchen to do, and then the back side, once that's done, we are closed in, out of the weather, and I can move on to raised beds and starting a chicken house. And I'm going to reserve, since it'll be springtime, we have a lot of rain, I'll reserve working on the inside for the rainy days. So that way we can accomplish a whole lot of things regardless of what the weather's like. So anyway, that is the newest addition. Right here is the bathroom wall. I know that the rain hitting the metal roof kind of makes it a little bit hard to hear, but then again, I kind of like that because it's good for sleeping, good for taking a nap during the day, although I don't have much opportunity to do that. I'm actually getting ready to start framing those walls. But I did want to mention that recently in one of the Outpost videos that we were styling and profiling some Rock Rooster boots. They were such a great company. They reached out to us. I had actually seen them on some other channels, and I guess it was about the time that I had seen it, maybe within 30 days they had actually reached out to us. So we immediately contacted them because from what I had seen on those other channels, they were really nice. It was really nice footwear. So when we ordered those and got them, they were exactly what I thought that they were going to be. They were really high quality footwear. Now I've had some comments, you know, can you order them online? And yes, you can. It is not a North American company. So you can order those online, and I would imagine you can have them shipped wherever you are in the world. And they have their own sizing. So I don't know if it's a European type, maybe I'm wrong about this, European sizing chart. But we had to do some conversion, like for my daughter, women's sizes are a little on the funny side. So my suggestion is to just go on their site and check it out, because I'm going to tell you, like I said before in that video, that kind of like the tires that I put on my truck, you know, I always put Michelins on my vehicles because I get much better wear out of them as opposed to other tires. And I've had a lot of different tires in my lifetime. You all know the top brand names, but I will tell you this, that I can certainly vouch for Michelin's. And when I did the review on mentioning the tires that I put on my truck, I had a lot of comments as well of people that purchased Michelin's, and they agreed with me. So you're going to kind of get what you pay for. I've had a lot of off-brand name boots also in my life, and you know, they just didn't seem to last. The pair that I've got on right now are my Danners, because it was nasty, muddy out there. And I'll tell you, those Rock Rooster boots are so nice. I hate to get them muddy, although I have, but I just hate to. But anyway, the boots that I have been having the best luck with are the Red Wings, the Danners, and of course now on top of the list will be the Rock Rooster boots, because I'll tell you what, folks, they're really made quality. So yes, you can go online, you can order those, and it is my opinion that they will last you a long time because of the construction of how they're put together. The soles are sewed on, they're really thick, they got those nice, it's like a Dr. Scholl's pad, but it's a padding that they put in there that comes with the boot. You can take it out, but it's a nice comfort type padding. The leather is very soft and supple, although, you know, it is leather and it's rugged. They also send you another set of shoelaces, and they're giving you 15% off if you go on there and use the code in the description on that video. So that video was where I was framing the walls on the inside of the cabin, where my daughter and I kind of modeled those, so go back and check that video there. I will leave a link in this description also of this video where you can go check Rock Rooster out, get a 15% discount. So basically, you know, if it's a $100 pair of boots, you can look for $15 off. I'm gonna tell you, you're not gonna go wrong by ordering those boots. They are really nice. But I guess as you can hear that, we've got a good sized blowing rain going out there, and all the windows, I checked them, they're doing great. And it's kind of coming in at about a, I don't know, maybe a 30-degree angle out there. Of course, the wind has died down a little bit, as you've seen on the video. But yeah, I'm glad I got that load of 2x4s in here so that I can work inside. I meant to do that yesterday and just got really busy and didn't get out here in time to get those in. But yeah, go on there, check those out, and I think you'll be impressed because they got a lot of different styles and categories of footwear. You know, hiking, construction, really nice footwear. Smokey doesn't really know what to think about that pounding rain on the metal roof. I don't think that he's been inside when we've had kind of a hard rain yet like this. So he's kind of sticking around close to me, especially when that wind was whipping and the rain was blowing in on the plastic. He didn't know what to think about it. His ears were all perked up. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I had some comments on the video. Well, guys, I thought I'd answer a few questions before I get too involved in working up here today. Someone wanted to know if there was a spring on the property. Down there in the hollow where I've shown you before, where I've cut most of the trees, there used to be a spring years ago where it didn't flow, you know, too awful much, but it flowed. But I've noticed in the past several years that it only primarily flows when it rains heavy. So as far as springs go, no, there's not one here on the property. The closest water source we have is the creek down there, and I've actually talked to my neighbor about a ram pump system, possibly to pump some water up here, not for the use of us personally, but for use, you know, like watering plants and just, you know, various things that I would need water for. So that would require a separate tank. But I have talked to him about that, and so that's something that we may take a look at in the near future. Somebody said that they wanted to thank me for the videos, that my lifestyle is what people used to do. I got them through the Great Depression. It's real life. Their grandfather had an outhouse till 1972. The old ways are the best. You depend on only you. Well, I can agree with that because I think that being self-reliant is a very important trait that people should have, because you can't always count on the system, or you can't always count on other people. I could hire things done, but then I spend a lot of money doing that. And when I spend a lot of money, then I don't have, you know, the resources to go and do other things that I would like to do. So I think that, you know, growing up on the farm, it was a good thing at the time. You know, when I was a small kid, I really didn't appreciate it. You know, I wanted to get away from it, actually. But I didn't know that it was teaching me important life skills for later on in my life. And so I can attribute, you know, the first thing that I built was a tree house, and my grandmother, you know, she would coach us on how to do that. But, you know, I learned a few tricks and, you know, the basic idea of building there. And I still don't know a whole lot. I just know enough to get by. But it's serving the purpose that I have. And again, I'm in an undeveloped area out here where I don't have any codes or restrictions that I have to follow. And so, you know, if I don't feel like I need to do a certain thing, I don't have to do it. What I'm doing is what I feel needs to be done. It's not the first structure that I've built. The others, you know, they have withstood I guess the stand of time. And so therefore, you know, being able to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, and how you want to do it, is nice. You know, I did build a business one time in town when I was teaching martial arts, remodeled it basically, and I had to follow the code. I actually used CPVC as hot water line, you know, where we used to do that back in the day. And I went and put it in. They made me pull every bit of it out because they wanted that flex tube, you know. Would it have changed anything? I don't think so. But that's what they wanted in there. So I had to pull it out and put that in. There's a lot to say about being able to do your own thing the way that you want to do it. And, you know, if something happens, it's on you. It's not on anybody else. There's been a lot of mistakes that I've made, and I went back and I've changed it, you know. If something happens here, a mistake that I've made here, I'll go back and change it. You know, it's not that big of a deal. And as far as the outhouse, I'm really impressed with that compost toilet, especially the idea of separating the liquid from the solid. That seems to be the key right there. So I don't know, you know, I'm really thinking about doing the same thing up here. There's been a lot of YouTube videos that I've watched that are toilets that are based on the same principle down there that people actually have in their homes, and they're perfectly content and happy with it. So that may be a consideration that I have here, and save thousands of dollars that people would normally do just because they're used to it, just because they've done it a certain way all of their life or most of their life. You know, they think it's strange to change. Well, you know, I try to be open-minded, and I grew up, you know, with a liquid system where I would flush gallons of water down the tube, you know, the whole family every day, you know, many times. What's the point in all that if you don't have to? So I can appreciate that. The old ways are the best. Well, you know, a lot of the old ways are good. I don't know that everything is the best because you can always learn to be better. But a lot of the old ways have stood the test of time, and they're still holding up. You know, just like a lot of the structures that were built up in the mountains there, you know, the old way. A lot of the pilgrims built with green lumber. You know, I've had a lot of comments on the green lumber. You know, don't you have any worries about it shrinking? Well, yeah, I do, somewhat. But you compensate for that as you're building. Just like the boards, I know that they'll probably shrink. That's the reason I made the battens extra wide. And, you know, the timbers here, they shrunk just a little bit, but all the lumber that I milled to match them, that shrunk too. And then when I started putting it all together, they all matched. And, you know, the other thing too is that their lifestyle got them through the Great Depression. A lot of those people had to be tough, not only tough physically, but they had to be tough mentally, you know. And a lot of society today, I think, you know, we've come to depend upon the system and, you know, others doing for us a whole lot, that it would just, it would create a mental breakdown in a lot of folks, you know, if things changed the way that they were. But back then, you know, people were just coming out of the 20th century, and things were changing, and they were still used to a lot of the old ways, and so they were tough. You know, they were having to work, you know, really hard to make a living, and a lot of them still growing their own food. And so when the Great Depression came around, you know, they just basically kept on trucking. Not to say that it wasn't really hard on them, because it was. My grandparents went through the Great Depression, and they used to tell me stories, you know, how bad it was. So whenever things would happen, you know, it didn't faze them a whole lot like it may some other people, you know. They didn't have a mental breakdown if things got tough. So
All I'm trying to say is, you know, I think a lot of times that we get used to having things a certain way, and then if things change, you know, we can't imagine it being any different. When I had the idea of putting in a compost toilet, some of my family members were like, "You are crazy." But I was open-minded enough and had watched enough videos to where people were satisfied with it. I thought, you know, hey, I'll try it. And so that's kind of been an experiment out there. And so far, I'm really impressed with it. So a lot of the old ways are still good. So I can agree with him on that. Then they want to know, explain grinding on the window. Well, it's just some excess plastic that is sticking out that I just kind of shaved it off a little bit because it was primarily, well, it's actually on both sides, but I don't care about the back side of the window. I just shaved the portion off to where it would fit flush up against the boards that I put. Then on the outside, I shaved it off enough to where when I put the frame around it, it would fit up tight to it. Otherwise, there would have been a big gap, you know, all the way around it, and because some of the plastic was a little bit thicker than the other. So, and when I ground it down, I didn't lose any of the integrity of the window. I just basically knocked the high spot off. So, yeah, and you know, with this hard blowing rain, I went around and checked. I didn't see any leaks anywhere, and I haven't even been around and got them all caulked yet. Especially around the frame portion, and on the inside there, it's just, you know, when I put it on the back side of the window and mashed it up against the siding, you know, that's basically the only caulking that I've got so far. So I've got to go back and do the other. But yeah, I'm tickled with that. And then too, I've had the comment, you know, why am I putting the windows on the outside of the sheeting instead of on the inside, basically on the 2x4, and then putting the sheeting on the outside? Well, the reason that I didn't do that, would I do that normally? Yes, I probably would, because generally you only use maybe 1/2 inch material, and the lip on the front side of the window is only about 1 inch. Okay, well, I'm using 1 inch material because it's sawmill material, right? So it would be out flush with the window. Then when I put my frame on, my window would be so far inset that I didn't think that it would look good. So I thought, well, I will caulk the back of the window, put it on the outside of the sheeting, and then I'm going to put my frame around it, caulk around my frame, and caulk where the window meets the frame on the inside, because when I put the 2x4 frame on the outside of the window, it still gives me about 1/2 inch of a lip between the edge of the 2x4 and the front of the window, which is perfect for caulking. It's got perfect depth to it. It doesn't look bad, because a lot of times too, if you were framing around a window with some material, you know, you would probably, of course, you know, store-bought lumber is not a total 1 inch thick, and you wouldn't probably use a 2x4. You would use something that was 3/4. So you would have, you know, the ability to put it behind the material with 1/2 inch siding, and then still have a lip enough that you could put your 1 inch material around, you know, the frame around it, and still come out with the same thing that I have done. I've done it like this before and had no issues with it. So, you know, there's not just one certain way that you can do anything. Most people, you know, they get used to doing things one way, and then when they see it done differently, it's either wrong or they don't understand that or whatever. And that's the only reason that I did it that way, was because the thickness of the material that I'm using. So I thought I would answer that, because I've had questions on that too. So I think what we're going to do, since my son is going to build the lights for the cabin using that black galvanized pipe, I think what we're going to do is build some hardware, since the roof comes down at an angle, and one side of it is shorter from the purlin than the other side, of course, you know, because of the angle. I think we're going to have to come down about 1 foot to be able to put in a standard sized ceiling fan. So we're going to have to make that out of some heavy material, because I don't want a lot of wobble on the fan. That way I can mount it to the bottom of the purlin real tight, and it should be really sturdy. But I think we're going to have to build 5 of those and drop them down at least 1 foot. I don't know, maybe have to go 14 inches or so. That way I don't have any worries about the blades hitting the low side where the ceiling comes down. but I think we're going to have to build 5 of those. But my wiring will come in from the top of the purlin, so you're not going to see any wiring in here because most of it's going to be in the walls. We're going to have sconces hanging on the walls. It's going to provide a lot of light. That way I don't have a lot of lamps sitting around. And I think it's really going to look nice in here. And the black galvanized pipe is going to match all of this angle iron that I've got in here too. So I think that's really going to turn out really cool. It should bring everything together. But I just wanted to show you this because I got this up this morning, and now I'm going to move on to either building this or start moving some of that material over there where I can work on those closets, because everything, I've probably moved it a half a dozen times because I need to work there or I need to work here. But I've got to move all that material over there to build those closets, walls. So anyway, but I do appreciate you guys stopping by and hanging out here with us at the Outpost. We thank you so much, like I said, for all of your support. We really appreciate it. That's why we do what we do as far as the giveaways go. And we can't thank you enough for all of the nice comments and you know, all of the nice cards that we've received and gifts. Although, folks, we don't expect anything at all, honestly, and it kind of makes you feel funny when you talk about it. But I also know that, you know, there's folks out there like us that they just appreciate giving, and it would be rude not to accept the gift from them because it's in their heart to do so. And that's another thing that I mean by when you do good, good comes back to you. So anyway, we appreciate all of that so much. We can't thank you enough. And all the support that you give our help up here too. You know, thank you for that. Anyway, we hope that each one of you have a great day. Take care. We look forward to seeing you back up here at the cabin again next time.